Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about the 4 winds drill. So this is a basic but highly adaptable and very effective battlefield sword form drill that I practice quite often. So to preface this, if you practice Japanese swordsmanship or another very dueling oriented sword form, then this drill will seem messy at best and outright wrong at worst. And that's okay, because dueling swordsmanship is very different from battlefield swordsmanship, and this is a chance to break out of the dueling bubble if you wish, and to expand your sword skills further. So for the drill, we simplify our lines of attack to just the 4 diagonals, hence 4 winds drill. And level 1 of the drill, the basics of the drill, is just getting to know the 4 diagonals in a battlefield swordsmanship way. So the dueling sword form, you cut and you stop after you've cut through your target so that your sword is always facing forward to prevent opponents from coming in. And that way then you don't give away any opportunities for them to counterattack or to move in and close the distance. In battlefield swordsmanship though, then we cut through the target and we take a longer path and come back around. And so relearning that and learning to take that longer path and also not to overswing, because often beginners, then they do this longer path, but their body moves with the cut and they don't have a good center of balance. So the drill here in level 1 is just learning to maintain your center of balance while cutting through and coming back around. So there's the 4 diagonals, downwards cut to the left, downwards cut to the right, rising cut to the left, and rising cut to the right. Now the duelists here are probably in agony watching this because it's so vastly different, and battlefield forms are fundamentally different from dueling forms. The reason why is because battlefield swordsmanship is messy by nature. So the sword on the battlefield is well, generally speaking, a secondary weapon, with a few exceptions, such as masang sangum, the dual sword on horseback form from Joseon, Korea. But by and large, the sword is a secondary weapon on the battlefield. So by the time you've gone for your sword, then the battlefield is usually quite messy, quite chaotic, and it's not a nice, clean environment like a duel would be. And because of this, then the goals of swordsmanship are very different. So dueling swordsmanship objectives are to cut your opponent without giving away any opportunities for your opponent to attack you back. And so because of this, then any overswing, any time when you show your back is always going to be capitalized on, because there's one opponent and one of you, and you both have your full focus on each other. So any time when there's a slight opening, one of you will take advantage of it. Now battlefield objectives are completely different. Because there's many opponents, you cannot have your full attention on anyone, and no other opponent can have their full attention on you, because if you do that, then someone is going to come up from behind and chop your head off. So because of this, then the goals are to keep people away and to keep mobile. So a really good way to keep people at distance is to cut through, because just because your target is in front of you, if you cut through, then the target slightly to your left and slightly to your right are also going to stay away. And then taking that longer path around is going to prevent other people from closing in. Another thing that you want to be able to do to keep people away is you want to be able to stay mobile while still attacking. So in dueling, then you stay mobile and then you attack. Here you want to be mobile while you attack. Now another goal of battlefield swordsmanship is energy conservation. Because there's so many enemies, then in dueling where you cut and you stop, that stopping takes up a lot of energy that could be used on attacking more enemies in the battlefield. And so cutting through actually saves you energy, because you can just keep the sword moving and keep it in motion, and you don't have to fight against inertia to expend energy to stop that sword. So how do we make this drill harder? We've done level 1, let's go to level 2. Level 2 is to make every one of those 4 cuts go into every one of those other 4 cuts. So 4x4, 16 variants, possibly more if you get creative with footwork. So let's start with the downwards cuts. So if you start with a downwards cut to the left, then you can go into another downwards cut to the left. From a downwards cut to the left, you can go to a downwards cut to the right. From a downwards cut to the left, you can go to a rising cut to the right. And quite awkwardly, but quite doably, from a downwards cut to the left, you can go to a rising cut to the left. Now, if you wanted to start from a downwards cut to the right, you just mirror all of those. It would be exactly the same. Now let's take a rising cut as your starting cut. So let's say you do a rising cut to the left. Well, then you can go into a downwards cut to the right. From a rising cut to the left, you can go to a downwards cut to the left. From a rising cut to the left, you can go to a rising cut to the right. And from a rising cut to the left, you can go into a rising cut to the left. And if you want to start with a rising cut to the right, you just mirror those. So those are your 16 variants for level 2. Every cut can now go into every other cut. So how are we going to make this drill a little bit more difficult? Well, for level 3, if you can go from every cut into every other cut, why stop at 2 chains? Make it 3 cuts in a row, 4 cuts in a row, 5 cuts in a row, however many you want. Now another way that you can make it more difficult is by adding different directions. So you can start with point control, just defending a single point and continuously cutting while defending that point. Then you can add an attack to the side, so go forward and then take an attack to the side. And if you want, you can also add attacks going front and back as well. So to recap, then level 1 of the drill is relearning swordsmanship, relearning to overswing and going against all of your base instincts that you've developed practicing dueling swordsmanship and trying to overcome those while still keeping control of the sword. Level 2 is making every single one of those cuts go into another cut, so that you've got the 16 variants, all 4 lines of attack go into all 4 lines of attack. And level 3 is have fun, get creative with it. Make it more difficult and make it more adaptable. Add different directions, add longer chains, do whatever you like with it. So I hope you like this video and I hope you go and you train if you want to break out of the duelist bubble. If you don't and you're very happy with dueling swordsmanship and you're not really interested in battlefield swordsmanship, that's totally fine as well. So I hope if you do want to practice it, then you go and you practice it and that this video was helpful. And with that, I'll see you next time.